We had a really nice email that Mr. Dietrich sent to the execs, and it was from Matt Dwyer's mom. And Matt Dwyer, you remember, was a senior last year, and he's halfway through the state police training, and his mother credits an awful lot of why he chose to do that with the values, our 5 core values that were reinforced while he was here for 3 years. So it was a very nice message. I liked seeing it this morning. Last night, the Eagles could have beaten both teams, okay? I would even say the Vikings probably could have won. But it was, the best part of the whole evening was probably Gladys Knight singing the national anthem. But doggone it, it kept us up late, and Monday I got blessed with that. So let's ramble on and try and get through this. Diligence is the value that we're going to talk about today. We're going to do 3 things. I'm going to define it a little bit. I'm going to talk about an example in literature, and then I'll tell you how Diligence and Sam Wrightson got along sometimes and didn't get along other times. So I've got a couple seniors who have their cell phones out, and they looked up the definition of diligence. Chris, what did you get?
I have constant and earnest effort to accomplish what is undertaken.
Say it again, please.
Constant and earnest effort to accomplish what is undertaken.
Okay. To me, diligence is hard work. Okay, so that's about it, and I'll see you later. All right. The real word that Chris came up with that separates diligence from just hard work is that word earnestness. Guys, you can dig a hole in an hour and you're working hard. But if you have a specific depth and width that hole has to be, and you're measuring all the time, and you're very careful, and you're trying hard to do it really, really well, that's diligence. Okay, so let me talk about someone who was very, very diligent in literature. How many of you have heard of The Three Musketeers? Okay, it's not just a candy bar, it's okay. Alexander Dumas was the guy who wrote that, and he also wrote a really good adventure novel called The Count of Monte Cristo. And Jim Caviezel made the movie 10 years ago or so. This is a young guy, about your age, who was really doing well. He was a sailor, and he was going to get his own boat. He was going to be the captain of his ship. He had a beautiful and wonderful girlfriend. He was as good looking as you guys. Life was really, really good until several friends, quote unquote, who were jealous of his success, of his life, of his girlfriend, decided to turn him in for a false charge of treason. Now, this is during the Napoleonic time, 1750, something. My history is terrible, but it's, when pirates were, it's really, really a good swashbuckling novel. But here, this young guy goes off to a prison that it's a little like Alcatraz. You don't escape from it, and everyone who goes there, they're usually political prisoners, that sort of thing. They are there until they die. So he meets a wise, I think a priest was there who was there for political reasons, and over 10 years, this priest taught him how to be educated, how to be sophisticated, and that's when he realized that his friends had betrayed him. So He escapes. The priest dies, and he actually takes the priest's shroud and is tossed into the ocean. He escapes, and over the next 7, 8 years, amasses a fortune and plots on how to get justice with those 3 people who betrayed him. He is very, very diligent. And he's successful. He goes back, and the person who was most responsible for his imprisonment, and no one recognizes him, and he comes back as the Count of Monte Cristo, very, very rich and very powerful. And the people who knew him when he was 19 or so don't recognize him. And the one who betrayed him the most, he ruins him, and the man commits suicide. Another friend, his business goes under because he manipulates things, and he's getting justice. And yet, this justice is somewhat tainted in that the Count is trying to act like God. And after he evens up all the scores, and the people who were bad suffer, and he helps people who were friends of his, he helps them so that it's not as though he's just a total bad guy. But his diligence, the motive for his diligence was not pure. And so at the end, he finds some happiness, but he does realize that that vengeance was a big part of his seeking justice. Oh, I just want justice. No, it wasn't just justice. There was some personal vengeance, and that was negative. Guys, that's not diligence. He worked hard, but diligence has a positive component to it. Doing your best to make the work you do as good as possible, as honest, a contract with the person who is hiring you, that's diligence. Okay, so I've done the definition, I've done the Count of Monte Cristo. If you get a chance to read the book, it goes quickly, and it is an adventuresome book. The movie is pretty well done. Did you see the movie? Yeah, okay. Dr. Zachary has seen every movie made, okay. So how about Diligence and Sam Wrightson? I had a lot of friends who, I went to a tiny little high school in Leavenworth, Kansas, and I was a medium-sized fish in a small little bowl. Everyone, if you were a guy and you were breathing, you played sports. If you did a little bit of your homework, you had good grades. So life was pretty good, but I knew that I probably didn't work as hard as I could have. So when the opportunity to go to a school like Williamson came along, I took it. I said, look, I need some help pushing myself, and a place like the Academy, doggone it, they're going to make me work. So I chose that. When you're in your senior year at the Academy, you get to choose what branch you go: infantry, artillery, armor, signal corps, engineers. Now they have a much wider choice. But I looked at those branches, those combat arms branches, and said, the one that's going to hold my feet to the fire is going to be infantry, to close with and kill the enemy. I I shouldn't have said kill, should I? Close with and neutralize the enemy. Close with and make those who don't like you like you. No, it's not that. Close with and kill the enemy, and that branch would make me work hard. Okay. I chose the 82nd Airborne Division as my first unit. I said, doggone it, jumping out of planes and being with all these gung-ho guys, that'll make me be a good lieutenant. It'll make me work hard because I've got some of the top young, the airborne trooper, in my unit. So I chose the 82nd. President Round's son is on the skydiving club at West Point, and he probably has, a million jumps under his belt. Well, the first jump, I had one jump at West Point, but that was not. The first jump at jump school, I broke my ankle and couldn't go to Ranger school. It was an airborne Ranger, so I didn't go to Ranger school. Most of my classmates went through Ranger school, and here I am, I'm not Ranger. Oh, God. So I go to Vietnam twice, and I said, okay, Ranger's over. And then Special Forces came along, and I said, okay. I mean, President Rounds would probably say that Rangers are much, much tougher than Special Forces, but that's all right. We can have that debate. But when that came along, it was, okay, let me go ahead and have Special Forces push me to be as diligent as possible. Okay, so that was fun. I discovered where all the terrific enlisted men and women, men, and sergeants were, and it was a great experience. So it was time to leave the Army, and I go into education. And so what will prepare me to be as diligent as possible in education? Well, I'd better have the right educational preparation, so I get into a doctoral program and work my butt off. And I take as much time as they give me to do my paper, and but it's hard work, and I let that program again push me. Men, not wanting to be tired from work is a natural thing, but wanting to be too comfortable all the time can also be natural, and you've got to fight it, and that's where diligence comes in. I started with the Eagles, and this is going to be really quick, but I started with the Eagles, where they could have been the Super Bowl champs a second year this year, and yet I want to end with the Eagles too. Who was recognized last night as an Eagle?
Chris Long.
Chris Long. Man, not player, man of the year in the NFL. Why? Did he work hard? Was he diligent as a football player? You bet. This guy is Pro Bowl quality. Worked his butt off. Diligent? Absolutely. But what else? What did he do with the rewards of his diligence? He donated his salary, his entire salary, to charitable causes. Okay? So here, not only working hard, that earnestness, doing his best, not like the Count of Monte Cristo, revenge, but to help others. Talk about diligence. Goodness, I have some differences with Chris Long. He's covered in tattoos. I don't, I'm not a tattoo guy. you know, other views and all, we don't see eye to eye. He's a terrific guy. He's a diligent man. And quite frankly, diligence is a virtue. It's something we should all want. It's a good quality. But we have to be working at it all the time. Okay. Keep in mind that, who's the young man that I said? Matt Dwyer. His mom thinks that the values that he had reinforced here has had an impact on his choice in life, to be a state trooper, to serve others. And so he's being diligent, he's working his butt off. I know the academy is tough. He's being diligent, and the purpose for which he's being diligent is a good positive one. Keep that in mind. Work hard. I have a recurring dream. I've had this about 4 or 5 times in my life where I have dreamed. Have I already told you guys this once? Where I dream that I have an opportunity to go back to West Point and take my studies again. I'm married, I have children. This is a crazy, crazy dream, but I'm actually looking forward to going back to West Point because I'm telling myself, this time I'll study real hard, okay? I'll be diligent. And that's kind of a bit of, first Sigmund Freud would say, oh, you're feeling guilty. Yeah. And what you want to do is you want to get to a birthday that I'm having today and say, you know, most of the time when I had a choice to be diligent or not, I chose to be diligent.